Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sumit and today I'm here with my new video in Salesforce Flow Advanced topic. The topic for today's video is that how do we make HTTP get call out request using flows. So the idea behind this video is to demonstrate you that how do we make an HTTP call out request using a flow without writing any code. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel if you haven't done in order to get the updates on the latest videos. You can post your comment in comment box if you like these videos. And also you can press the bell icon so that you can quickly get the notification regarding the latest videos. So recently I come across with a requirement where I need to display the contact current time, current date, and current location, current time zone on a contact form page. Because we'll be dealing with the contacts, and whenever we create a new contact in Salesforce objects, in contact object, we would like to display its current location, you can say, current time zone. So that we would like to track, we would like to extract by making an API call from Salesforce by using flows, and we would like to display it on a contact page. So let me show you how I have done that. But before that, let me show you an review for this. Here you can see this is the final output. That's what I'm expecting. So I'm expecting that I need to display the current time, date, and current time zone. And this current date, current time, and the time zone, that depends on the details we have entered. So as you can see for this contact feature, what I have done, I added the mailing address, mailing city as New Delhi, and mailing country as India. Now let's suppose if I just change this to mailing city as New York and mailing country will be USA. And when I save this and I refresh record, the time and date and the time zone will change. So you can see the result has been changed here. See this time zone. So the time zone will be different. The date and time also change here. So in order to do this, we will be going to make an API call. And in order to make this API call, I will be using the Extract API app, which helps me to make an API call. But in order to proceed further with this, first of all, we require a Salesforce developers account so that we can set up a flows, we can create new flows, and we need to sign up or we need to register on Abstract API in order to get the current API and so that we can make a call. So let's begin. And for this, I will be going to start on a fresh environment. So this is my Salesforce environment where I would like to place that flow or from where I would like to make an API call on the Abstract API. The very first thing, I already registered on Abstract API. And in Abstract API, I click on time zone. You have to click on time zone. From the time zone, you need to go to settings in order to retrieve your API key. This will be the API key. If you want to rename it, you can rename that. But if you want to create a new key, you are free to do that. But I will be going to use the key which is already registered. So we can do one thing. We can copy and paste this API key somewhere in a notepad. So I've already done that. Now I copy paste that API key in a notepad. Now, next, if you want to try this API call from this API from this Rapid API, there's an option for that. You can click on try it out, and when you click on try it out, you can see these are the different calls we can make. So that's a live test. The URL current time is equal to Oxford UK, and when I click on make test request, I'll get the response. This is the response I will be getting. So I will be getting the date time zone name, time zone location, time zone abbreviation, and requested location, latitude, longitude, IS is DST, So we'll get this detail, and these details basically will be going to use in our flows in order to show the current date, current time, and the time. So let's begin. How do we do that? So step number one, first of all, we need to create one external named credential. So we have already registered. Now it's time to create a named credential. So step number one, I'll just create a named credential here. And in the named credential, you will see we'll be going to create an external named credentials. And I click external named credential, external credentials, click on new. And here I add a name. So I just give a name as, let's say, abstract API, external name credential. External API, abstract API, because we are calling this, so I just keep it as the same name, abstract API, external name credential. And the authentication pool will be custom. And I'll copy this because we have to add a name. So I'll simply add underscore. We have to follow the rule naming conventions. Don't forget that. Don't miss the rule naming conventions. Otherwise, it will show an error message. Save this. So step number one is completed successfully. We have created one abstract name credentials. And when I create abstract name credentials, you can see now it's time to set up a new principal. So now I'm going to create a new principal here. So I click on new principal and the principal name as, let's say, abstract API principal. Sequence number will be one, and authentication provider, we don't have to do anything. I leave it as it is and click on save. So we added a principal here. Now, this is the external name credentials. Now I'm going to create the name credentials, which will be going to call from HTTP callouts in Salesforce. So I click on name credentials. And this time I'm going to create a named credential here. So I click on new to create named credentials. I click on new button and I will be going to create a named credential here. So the label will be, let's say, let me change the name as, let me set the name as AI Tech 1 time, or let's say contact time zone API name credential. Name exactly same one. So I just copy this and like as I mentioned, we'll replace the space with underscore to follow the naming conventions. Now here we have to paste the URL. So we'll switch to abstract URL and from here we copy the URL and the URL is this https timezone.abstractapi.com. So this URL I pasted here. And the external credential we created abstract API external name credential. I select that name credentials and finally click on save. And don't forget to check this option. Make sure that this will be enabled for call out and save this. Now the next step is we have to create a permission set. What's the purpose of permission set? The purpose of creating permission set is to give permissions to the user to use this name credentials, to external name credentials. So therefore, now I'm going to create a permission sets. And if you have already created any permission sets earlier, that's okay. Otherwise, we can set up a new here. So I'm going to create a new permission set because I haven't created any permission set related to the APIs. So I'm going to create it now. So I'll just click on new permission set and I'll name this as AI Tech 1 API permission sets and save this. Next step, we have to manage the assignees actually. So right now I haven't assigned this permission to any of the users. So I'm going to add the assignments now. So I'm going to manage the assignments. I click on add assignments. and I will be going to assign this to myself. So we have a lot of users, but I'm going to assign this to myself. So I'm giving permission only to Sumit only, and next and assign. So permissions will be assigned. We can click on done, and let's get back to the permission set because now it's time to set the external permission set settings. And how do we do that? We scroll down and you can see there's an option called external credential principal access. So this option we have to use. That's the reason why we created the principal or external credential principal. So that external credential principal access will be going to add here. So I'm going to give that external credential principal access here. Click on edit, and the principal we created here for the external that I add here. API abstract API external name credentials, and click on save. So that's all we have to do here, and ensures that the API credentials will be added. Now it's time to create a screen flow. So now I'm going to set up a new screen flow. And all of you know about the flows. That flow is used to set up an automation rule, process automation rule in Salesforce. To know more about flows, you can go through my previous YouTube uh, videos where I have explained more about the flows, and we have done a lot of things with the flows, a lot of experiments with the flows. So I click on flows, and I will be going to create a new flow by using the flow builder. So click on new flow. And we will be going to set up a new screen flow because at the our final product will be we need to add a flow on the contact page. I'm doing this for the contact object. You can do this for account, or you can do this for opportunity where we used to have the locations. So that's my flow builder, and I will be going to select the screen flow template. Click on create. Before we begin adding the HTTP callouts action or adding a screen, we need to add some resources. So I click on toggle box, and I will be going to add some resources. The resources in order to capture the current record ID, in order to store the API key. So I click on new resource. The first is will be a constant because I want this API key to be a constant one. This is my API key. Actually, I want to set this API key as a constant so that I can use it throughout the application. And I label this as API key. Data type will be text. And here the value. So I just copy the API key, or we can go to let me refresh. Yeah. So I'll just go to settings. And from here, I copy this API key and paste it here. So basically what I did, I just set the API key as a constant so that it's not going to change. Done. Next resource I'm going to create here is in order to store the record ID. So that would be a variable, and record ID data type will be record. And we would like to capture the record ID for which object? For contact object. And we'll be going to use this ID for this variable for input as an input in order to pass this ID, or basically in order to pass this ID for the to the flow. Click on done. So I just added two resources here. Okay, so I just added two resources successfully. Now it's time to make an HTTP call out. So I just click on action, and inside action, like in this action, we used to have an option called HTTP callout, create HTTP callout. So I click on it, create HTTP callouts, and let's set up the HTTP callout. So here I just write AI Tech 1 contact HTTP call out. You can give any name and add a description. Name credential, the contact time zone, API name, credentials. That's the URL. Please verify that the URL is correct. Click on next. Click on next. Label. So I just write here. So I just set the label as let's say current time HTTP call out. Method will be get and the URL. So we have to pass the complete URL. The complete URL will be here. So when we click on try out, the complete URL is / v1 / current time / this. So this will be the complete path. I pasted here. We have to pass the parameter. Now, as you can see in this abstract API call, when we call this, we have to pass the API key and the location. So these two fields we have to pass, two parameters. So here the parameters. So the first parameter is API underscore key, API underscore key required, and the data type will be string. Second parameter will be location. Second parameter will be location. It's a case sensitive, so please use the same name for locations. I use the same name, and this will also as a string. Now the next is we have to provide a sample response to finish the configuration. Now from how we can provide the sample response, click on new, and when you make a test request, whatever response you'll be getting here, what you have to do is we can copy this response and paste it here. So this will act as a training for this. This code will use as a training purpose for this for this flow. So I click on review. We'll get the details. It automatically extracts the fields like date, time zone abbreviations, requested location, latitude, time zone, and other details, and click on done. Once you do this, click on done and click on save. Now, finally, when we save this, in the next step, we have to add a name. We have to give a name. So I just write here current time, current time zone, HTTP call. Now here we have to pass the API key. So for the API key, we'll be passing the constant we added location. Now, if you see this location here, we have to pass two details. We need to pass the location. We need to pass the this mailing city and mailing country. These two details we have to pass: mailing city and mailing country. So here in location, I just click on location, select record ID contact, and from here I select mailing city. Now I need to pass mailing country also, so I just add a comma. I copy this code, copy the text, paste it, and instead of mailing city, mailing country. That's all we have to do. Quickly verify it is correct, and there would be a comma in between both of them because here it would be separated by comma. And that's what I've done here. Click on done. So my HTTP callout is ready. Action is ready. Now, in order to display the output, display the result, because when I show you the final output, we need to display the current date, current time, and the time zone. So in order to track those details, we will be going to add new resources. Now, in order to add resource, I just add a formula, display as current time, data type will be text, and because when we make a request, it will respond in this format, and from this response there's a date time, and from this date time I need only this time right now. So insert a formula. This is the output HTTP callout we added, and from here 2x, and I select date time. This will return the current date and time. This will return this date and time. But from this date and time, I'm interested only in this time first. So in order to extract this in Salesforce, there's a function called the function is right side because I would like to fetch the data from the right. From the right side, I want to fetch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters from the right side. So I just place my cursor, use write function, and in this write function, we have to pass two parameters: the text field and the number of characters we would like to extract. So the text is this, and I would like to fetch the 8 characters from the left side. Check syntax just to make sure that it is a valid syntax. Click on done. Next, we need to fetch the date as well. So again, I create a new resource, again formula, and I just write here current date. text, and here this 2x and so current this and date time. And from this date time, this time I would like to extract the date, and this date I will extract from the left side. And for this, the function I'm going to use here will be the left function. And from this left, number of characters. So I would like to fetch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 characters. So I'll just pass the parameters as required and comma 10 characters from left side. Let's click on validate. It's a valid function. And yes, I would like to also extract the time zone abbreviation. So for this time zone abbreviation, again, I add a formula and I just write here, let's say time zone. It's a it's a text and output 2x, and we have a field called time zone abbreviation. I select this option. We don't have to use any left and right. So this field will fetch the time zone abbreviation. It will return the time zone abbreviation. We can check the syntax and click on done. So we have successfully created three variables. Now we'll be going to use these three variables or three resources on a screen flow. So now it's time to set up a new screen flow. So I create a new screen flow. First of all, I labeled it as here current time. That's the name of this flow. Okay, current time screen flow actually, because the name was already taken. Current time screen flow. I don't want this header, so I remove this header. Even in footer also, I don't want pause, previous, and hide next or finish. We don't want any buttons over there, and I need to simply display the text. So in order to display the text, I drag and drop the display text. And here, let's say text one, that's the API name. Here I need to display the details. So I'll just add the fields one by one, and the variables we have, like we'll be going to display the details from the value from the variables. So we already created the resources. So as you can see, we got current date, current time. First of all, current time, enter, and you have to arrange that current time, current date, current time, and time zone. Now I select this center, and I just select this current time, and I just increase its size. Let's say I'll just make it 22, bold. I just set the color to red for this. And for current date and time, I just increase this to 16, bold, and the color will be, let's say, pink. So I just format this, click on done, save this, and I just write here current time flow for contact and save this. Uh, So you can see I'm getting an error message that says you can't current time screen, you can't see, set either allow finish. So the solution for this is I just edit this element and I just remove this footer also. I don't want to show footer, and let's say we'll be using the standard label, but it's not visible right now. So that's perfectly fine. I click on done. Let's try to save it once again, and this time it's saved successfully. Any error comes up, you can ignore that error, not an issue. If you want to debug and test it, we can debug it right now on a record, or else we can directly deploy that. So I click on activate. And now it's time to add this flow on the contact page, record page. So I'll just open that record. Basically, I just open that contact application, like a sales application, contact object, open a record, and edit. Click on edit page. And because we have already activated this flow, so therefore I will be going to place this flow over here. So how do we place this flow? Let's check it out. So from here, I just select this flow. And I drag and drop this flow at the desired location. and we have to select the flow which we would like to display. So I select a flow, and by default, it is showing create a case. I remove that and current time flow for contact. Save this, activate it just to make it available. Assign as org default, and finally click on back. So as you can see, my flow has been deployed successfully, but I'm not getting an output. So when you will be doing this activity, when we'll be doing this exercise, so definitely you will also face this kind of problem. First of all, let's see how do we resolve this issue. So first of all, let's quickly go and check, do we have the mailing address or not? So yes, I have provided the mailing address. You can see the mailing city and mailing country. This is what we are going to pass as a parameter. We require the mailing city and the country. We are passing this as a parameter. But still, even after I pass the mailing city and mailing country as a parameter, and when I refresh, still I'm not getting any response here. So the solution for this is when I click, let me show you how do we resolve this issue. So I click on edit page. So I click on edit page. Click on your flow, select your flow, and in this flow, you have to check this option, pass all fields value from this. So this value is important to check. Earlier, what happened? We haven't checked this. So this is you have to check this. And once you check this, it will pass the current record ID to the flow. And if you remember, that record ID we used to map to fetch the current mailing address and mailing city for a contact. Let's check it out. So we have checked it successfully. And now we'll be able to see the current date and current time. Like this way, we can display current date and current time and the time zone. Now let's see whether this is it's working or not. So let me change that date and let me change it. So I just change the mailing city to let's say New York and New York and USA. And when I save this and refresh, you can see the time change, the value change. That's the way we can display we can display the current date, time, and the time zone by calling an API using Flow HTTP call out feature. That's all in this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. You can write to us or you can write to us at info@aitechon.com. You can or you can visit our website for more updates. Or if you are looking for any customized training on Salesforce or other modules, you can reach out to us on the given numbers. That's all for the day. Bye everyone. Have a nice day.